What's up, everyone? Welcome to my podcast, Nolan Talks. My name's Nolan. I talk about LSU football. Let's get right into it. All right, so this past weekend, Halloween weekend, LSU lost to Auburn 48-11. So, yeah, really embarrassing, ugly loss. LSU did not look good at all. Defense looked absolutely terrible. Just every single play is a miscommunication, it seems. When our safeties come down to make a open field tackle, it's literally a whiff every single tackle. We literally cannot make any tackles. Just looks so ugly out there. Looks so bad. Defensively, I don't know. People are always like, Bo Pelini needs to go. But at this point, sometimes like the defense just has to make a play. Like you just gotta make a tackle. Like Bo Pelini can't go out there and make tackles for the defense. I don't necessarily know if he's making the best calls on defense, but at the end of the day, we recruit pretty well, so I expect players to be able to make open field tackles, be able to wrap up, be able to cover, be able to stay in their gaps, be able to just read an offense and just understand a flow of a game. And just this LSU defense just cannot do that at all, and it's so just painful to watch. I feel like literally every single time a team throws the ball to a receiver, it's LSU's secondary or linebackers are just out of place and it's wide open and they're running 40 yards up the field for a touchdown or just the big plays, and it's just so tough to watch as a fan, and it's honestly it's embarrassing. Like growing up, LSU fans are used to just great defenses and not just looking at least competent out there, and just this season, just absolutely just not there. Players don't know what they're doing. Players, it looks like they're not even buying in. They don't really care. Our corners are getting burned out there. Our safeties are that's the worst part of our defense. Jacoby Stevens comes back for his senior year, and he just doesn't look like the same player he was a year ago. And our safeties are getting absolutely burned out there. Derek Stingley, the best corner in the country, quote unquote, just got exposed by Auburn. Seth Williams was just running up and down all on that guy. Derek Stingley had a few good plays, but just doesn't look good for the LSU secondary. Linebackers are just, Damone Clark, Jabril Cox has just been so overrated. Like coming in, from North Dakota State, I was so geeked to watch him. I was like, okay, this guy's a national champion, like defensive player of the year in his division, his conference or whatever, and just comes to LSU and just out of place and can't tap. It's just not looking too good. He had that pick 6 against Mississippi State in the first week, but I think he's overrated, honestly. I really think he's overrated. Defensive line, they played okay against Auburn. I know Auburn's going to run the ball a lot, and they're going to have a few, big plays, but defensive line played okay. Nothing too special about them, but our secondaries and our linebackers, they're just atrocious, and you could definitely tell they have a lack of experience there. Safeties are terrible, blah, 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 whatever. Linebackers, I feel like they don't even know what they're doing. They go into the game plan every week and they're just like, well, we're not even going to listen to what our coaches are telling us. We're just going to play free football. And, well, that shows up on the field on Saturday. So enough of the defense. I don't even want to talk about them anymore. It's so embarrassing to talk about them. LSU's offense, there was really no rhythm against Auburn. TJ Finley looked like he was making his first ever road start in the SEC. He had 3 total turnovers. One was a really, really, really bad one. That fumble that was returned by Auburn for the touchdown. TJ Finley was just trying to make a play, and it just, definitely a freshman right there. The interceptions, I mean, one of them was a fluke. It flew up in the air, and Auburn defender was right there and just caught it and whatever. The other one was just overthrew him a little bit, but I mean, that cost him. That cost him, an interception and whatnot. But offensively, just no rhythm. Can't run the ball at all. I mean, another grad transfer, Liam Shanahan, he's not good at all. Like, he's literally overrated as well. I was very excited for him to come to LSU and, step in for Lloyd, but nope, he's not very good at all. I mean, I'm watching plays of him getting blown up in the backfield, and he's 5 yards back, and you can't run the ball with that. Like, it doesn't matter who your running back is. You cannot run the ball, when your offensive lineman's 5 yards in the backfield. So offensive line, they're suspect as well. TJ Finley had some pretty decent throws. I'm not gonna lie to you. For a freshman, he can rip the ball, and he was making some pretty decent throws. But he didn't play super great. But he didn't play. He's not the reason why we lost the game. That's for sure. Our receivers are definitely the strength of the team. I mean, we have a few drops here and there, but I mean, I feel like receiving wise, like, we got a bunch of weapons out there who, once the ball's in their hand, like, they can make stuff happen, which is great. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just shows you our recruiting has just been so well in the receiver end, and I think that's great. I think that we have about a lot of young position players there, which is great, and they're getting a lot of experience. And I'm pretty impressed with the receiving core. We had some drops, but I mean, that's going to happen. That's part of the game. I mean, and whatever. But overall, this LSU team does not look very good. I will give credit to Auburn. Their defensive game plan by Kevin Steele was phenomenal. They definitely really, this was a revenge game for them. They played really well. And I will give them credit. I mean, Bo Nix played really well as well. I believe he had 4 touchdowns. He was dropping dimes, and they were just really good today. Auburn played really well. I don't want to not give them credit because they definitely were the better team, and they beat us, and that's part of the game. That's going to happen. You got to give credit where credit's due. A positive thing about this LSU football team is we're playing a lot of freshmen, which is good. I mean, our secondary, Elias Rick's out there. I'm not saying he's super great, but he's a freshman getting experience, which is great. Eric Gilbert's obviously a beast. We have those freshman receivers playing, freshman quarterbacks playing. BJ Ujulari, he's a stud off the edge. He'll probably be a first-round pick when it's all said and done, to be honest. We're playing a lot of freshmen, which is good, and that's good for the future, and that's something we can definitely build on, and it's exciting, honestly. LSU fans are, fire Ed Orgeron, fire this guy. Like, we're a young team. We lost 30-something players and a bunch of coaches, from a year ago. So I expect, growing pains, and, guys have to stay in the program to develop, and we have such young guys in there. It looks like I'm watching an LSU team that's just playing their second stringers at this point. I feel like there's really no. Obviously, we have Derek Stingley and Terrace Marshall, but like great players in the LSU football team, I don't see it. Like, I don't really see any great ones on there besides those two. And everyone's getting experience. It's got to be a team that people have to return for another year. Like, players can't leave and be 4th and 5th round picks. Like, that's not good for a football team. And I know that's probably going to happen this year. There's going to be players who are going to, I'm going to leave, make my money in the NFL. When you're going to be a 4th, 5th round pick, when you can come back for another year, maybe only improve your stock, And I really hope that happens to this LSU team this year. I hope that Ed Orgeron sits these players down and talks to them about how, we're building for the future and how we need you guys to return and, help build this program back to, the top. And I really hope he can do that because I don't want to see LSU lose a bunch of players to the draft when, they're having suspect seasons, Now let's talk to what saved the weekend though. So this past week the number one safety in the country, Sage Ryan, made his college decision. He committed to LSU, which surprised me. Okay, he's a safety out of Lafayette, Louisiana, and he's an absolute stud. And this past week, there was a lot of rumblings out there that he was committing to Alabama, and literally this whole week I was just sick. I was just like, no, this cannot happen again. Another LSU player going to another Louisiana player going to Alabama. That's literally a heart that just rips your heart out and whatever. So saw the announcement. I was actually at work when it happened. I was so nervous. I was like, please just don't go to Alabama. Don't go to Alabama. A bunch of the recruiting guys are saying how changing their picks on 24/7 Sports from LSU to Alabama, and I was just sick, and I'm like, this guy cannot go to Alabama, and he makes a decision that he's going to be attending LSU, and literally I was so excited. I checked the LSU thread, the TigerDroppings.com, and all the LSU fans are just like, this guy's day one starter. He's going to see a lot of the freshmen, which I believe he will. I think he comes in right away and he's going to start for us because right now we don't really have, viable options out there. I mean, but that's whatever. I talked about that earlier. But Sage Ryan is going to come in for LSU and he's going to be a beast. I was so excited. That literally saved the weekend. I mean, that terrible loss to Auburn was ugly, but It's exciting that we get a player like Sage Ryan for the future. He said his recruitment's over with, and he's done. He's coming to LSU, which is great to hear. It's relieving to hear. LSU got a big one in Sage Ryan, and it really saved the weekend. It's exciting. I'm really excited to see how other players and other recruits take this LSU football team. Do they understand that we're a young team that lost a lot of players and we're building for the future? Or are some recruits going to be like, wow, LSU's not good at football, so we're not going to go to LSU anymore, which is what scares me. Because whenever LSU does bad, my first concern is recruiting. And I don't think it has a big impact on it, but I do know that maybe sometimes it does happen, Maybe some recruits are like, well, they're not winning. I don't want to be like another Florida State situation where they just fell off the map and within a year or two, and the recruiting went down and players are, I don't want to go there anymore. They're not an elite program, and I don't want that to happen to LSU. I want them to see the positives in the season, how they're seeing us struggles, so then they're probably thinking well, I could get on the field, I can play for LSU, and I want them to see that. I want them to come to LSU for that reason. You know what I'm saying? So that definitely saved the weekend. I mean, LSU played really bad, but Sage Ryan was the positive to the weekend. And hopefully LSU can figure out these problems, continue to play these young players. They can continue to get better, and then we will have some success in the future. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day.